And we're live.
Paranormal Dash Spirits. At least we come to get our booze on. We talk about the booze, things that go bump in the night. I'm Mike Black, and to my left, my cantankerous Henri.
The first take I was regal.
Yeah, well, you blew Regal out of the water.
And beautiful. And
yeah.
all the
Cantankerous and Henri now.
The chickpea queen.
The chickpea queen.
The garbanzo bean
Garbanzo
queen.
bean?
Garbanzo.
Hello.
Alyssa Black.
Hello. My name's Alyssa.
Across from me, the beautiful and talented John Burkett.
He got beautiful and talented.
And Regal.
I got cantankerous and
You didn't get
ornery.
Regal.
And
Hush.
chickpea.
So tonight, that's so funny. Tonight we're bringing you a story from France, Francais,
Baguette.
baguette,
I know nothing in French.
Jamon beurre.
and Mike's going to do this and mess a lot of French words up. John can make fun of me.
You don't have any Cajun in you?
Not
some
enough
French?
I don't think I do, and I don't have enough in me to pull that off. But this is from the mid 1700s in France, South Central France.
South Central. West Side.
Representing.
Oh,
Compton.
Lord.
Compton.
I don't even know what that means.
That's funny. Compton, South Central.
Oh. Dirt.
Straight out of the Haute Loire.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Straight out of Gevaudan.
But before we do all that, let's talk about the places that you can find us on the web. You can go to our website at paranormal-spirits.com, and when you get there, you can hop over to Bougie's Boutique.
Bougie's?
Boutique. It is kind of bougie.
Is it bougie?
It's very bougie. We have bougie items on there. And we have dad caps and trucker caps and racerback tees and all the stuff. If you are listening on a podcast and you want to see how goofy we look,
Speak for yourself.
I was speaking for you. And I'm going to pick on you tonight. If you're listening on a podcast and you want to see
Has nothing to do with it.
what we look like, you can come to YouTube, and we are 3B Paranormal Spirits. If you go to TikTok, Twitter, or X, you can go to paranormal_-spirits. Wow.
Did you just like a mini, like an absent seizure?
_ spelled out _spirits. Right there, just like that.
Wow.
I can't talk tonight. Obviously.
That's a problem.
It happens again. It happens a lot. What's wrong with me?
We need to get you checked out.
You need a CT of the head.
I may need a CD or something.
A seizure-like activity.
Oh, my goodness. And that's all the places you can find us. Oh, Booze with Benefits, our Facebook group. Go check that out.
Please.
Join up. When you go to YouTube and you watch the videos, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button.
Ding,
I
ding.
think it's like right there with the bell and all that.
Ding, ding.
You don't have to hit the bell. That's the notification.
Yeah, it's a notification. But if you do
But-
subscribe, that's awesome.
But if you're going to click stuff down there, click that
Might
subscribe
as
button.
well. So what are we drinking tonight?
I don't know. You were taking a big old swig. Why don't you start?
It's got a lot to get through there.
Well, I do.
Heavy pour.
I poured myself heavily.
Maybe
I'm drinking Eagle Rare, aged 10 years. Alyssa, what are you drinking?
Ardbeg Wee Beastie.
Are you really?
I
You
am.
went to the wee beast.
In
I
a
like it.
wee Glencairn.
It
It is a wee Glencairn.
But we
That's
won't.
the little
It's
ones.
a different brand, so I won't brand it. But
Oh, what is that? The Lefroy?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I chose the Ardbeg Wee Beastie. It's so
John,
tasty.
you've got some clear liquor over there, so I'm
It's
going.
not
That's either
quite
tequila
clear.
or that's
That is El Tesoro Reposado.
Tequila.
good stuff.
It's good tequila right there.
It is.
It's not quite clear. It's a little
Yeah,
bit.
you
of
got a little rosé to it. So
Francais.
Francais. So
We
please,
didn't have any like Courvoisier or
I didn't. I didn't
that'd
have
been a
any
good one.
Hennessy. I didn't have
Some
any
hen dog.
No, I didn't have anything like that. So
wine or champagne, isn't that in France?
didn't have any of that. I'm not even trying to match it up tonight.
Well,
Okay.
bourbon. I mean,
Bourbon?
bourbon is a French word. I mean,
Is it actually?
pretty sure the word is from French. Yeah,
Bourbon.
I think there's a Bourbon region of France.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
I don't know why that place in Kentucky, why the liquor from Kentucky is called that. But
Okay. You guys ready?
Ready for it.
All right.
Bring it on.
Here it is. On the morning of June 30th, 1764, the sun bathed the mountainside in south central France with a warm glow. Jeanne Boulet, a 14-year-old girl, set out alone to tend her family's sheep in a vast field just south of their cottage. The air was filled with the sweet scent of summer grass, and the distant calls of birds created a soothing symphony that enveloped the countryside. Grasshoppers made clicking sounds as they jumped out of the way. As Jeanne moved through the field, the tall grass brushed against her skirts, and the sheep grazed contentedly around her. Unbeknownst to her, the calm facade of the morning concealed a malevolent force that lurked in the shadows. Something with a bloodlust had ventured into her serene world. The songs of the birds stopped, and the gentle rustling of leaves no longer rustled. They were still. The gentle breeze had died down to nothing. Jeanne was alone and vulnerable in the huge pasture. She felt a subtle shift in the atmosphere. The air seemed to thicken, and a shiver ran down her spine. A primal instinct warned her of an unseen threat. The feeling that she was being watched slowly wrapped its tendrils around her brain, and her ears began to ring with the blood rushing past. The first rays of sunlight, which initially had painted the landscape with a warm summer morning glow, now cast eerie shadows as the sun ascended in the sky. Unsettled, Jeanne scanned the surroundings, her eyes darting nervously between the trees that bordered the field. She quickened her pace, urging the sheep to move with her. In the distance, its nostrils flared, taking in the scent of the young girl. Its pupils tightened to adjust for the increasing morning light. Silent and predatory, it sat in the tree line, watching, its pulse only slightly elevated. There was no malice, no hate. It was instinctual. That movement made by Jeanne to hasten the sheep triggered the back legs to activate like springs, rocketing the beast from the tree line into the open field and toward its prey. Whether by instinct or misfortune or precognition, Jeanne turned to see the beast flying towards her at an unnatural speed. The distance between her and the beast was less than 100 yards. She had less than 6 seconds to live. She froze. Her breath stopped in her throat. 4 seconds. The beast's enormous form continued charging forward. 2 seconds. The beast was now 25 yards away. Her brain finally caught up with what was happening. She tried to scream. She tried to turn. She tried to run. From 100 yards away, a charging wolf at full clip runs 35 miles an hour. It takes 6 seconds to clear 100 yards at 35 miles an hour.
did you do that math yourself?
I did. Well, I used a calculator. But can you imagine? You look a football field away and you see this beast. And what we're talking about is the Beast of Gevaudan, or as they say it, La Bête du Gevaudan. This wolf creature-ish thing that came charging at her, and they estimate it's about 100 yards from the point that it came out of the tree line to get Jeanne.
It's Jean.
I know how it's spelled. I looked up the pronunciation.
It's Jean?
It's Z-H-A-N, Jean. Jean Boulet. Trust me, I spent a long time looking up the pronunciations for all these. Jean. Or Jean.
Jan.
Like Jan, yeah.
Jan.
Like Jan. So anyway, this thing ran at her at 35 miles an hour. and basically decapitated her when it hit her. Because you're talking something that probably weighed close to 150 pounds, traveling at 35 miles an hour with razor sharp teeth, and this thing was huge. So anyway, this is the time that La Bête, or the Beast of Gevaudan, was active, was 1764 to 1767, and it affected the area now, modern day Lozère, and part of Ula in the Margarine Mountains. Get some. How you like that? Talking French to you, baby.
Is that part of the Haute Loire?
That's Haute-Loire.
Haute-Loire.
Haute-Loire. So it is, yes, the Haute-Loire.
Haute-Loire.
Or the Hot Lorry, if you're from here. But we're talking about an area that was approximately 50 to 56 miles, 50 by 56, or 2,800 square miles. So if you think about Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, that area, it's about that size, or the Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona. So that was the area that was in. A 1987 study said that La Bête was responsible for 210 attacks, 113 deaths, and 98 victims were partially eaten. It always attacked the head or neck region of the person, which is odd for a wolf to attack a human, one. And two...
Very rare.
Yeah. And two...
Especially a lone wolf.
Yeah. So, but this is what this thing was, and there were tons and tons and tons of witnesses over this 3-year span. Now, of course, France wasn't new to wolf attacks. There was, in 1634, in Evreux, there was this wolf they called the Furious Beast. Estimated that it had actually killed several dozen people. In 1655, the Gâtinais, Beast of Gâtinais, and it killed over 100 people. In 1743, in Brittany, there was the Ferocious Beast.
It's not very creative with today.
Not with that one. No, the Ferocious Beast, several dozens to potentially over 100 people. When they finally caught the one in Upper Brittany, they recovered a child's foot in the wolf's stomach when they cut it open. So what this thing looked like, it was a tawny russet color with dark stripes, a dark stripe down the back. The tail was longer than the normal wolf. Huge teeth, huge claws. Witnesses claimed that it was the size of a calf. And when it ran with a bounding movement, and some described it as looking like it was flying just above the ground. And this thing supposedly had supernatural abilities, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And
I wish a contemporary at the time, someone could have made a contemporary drawing who had better talent than like a 3-year-old.
Oh, I know.
They're terrible.
When you go look at the ones online, they're horrible.
They're horrible. What is this? This is nonsense.
Yeah, it's
nonsense.
This looks like something you would say, oh, you did such a good job. Put it on the refrigerator, but really you know that it's shit.
Daddy, are you going to put this on your desk?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks really bad. So,
wow, there was no talent.
The king had to do something about this because people were terrified of this creature. They were not going to work. They weren't going to the fields to work. And when they did, they got eaten. There was textiles was one of the big industries there at that time. And nobody was going to work in the textile mills because they were afraid of La Bête, as they called it. Also, you got to remember, and John, help me with this, but was it the 7-Year War? France was just coming off of. In 1763, they had the French Indian Wars. That's it.
Yeah, we call it that here.
Yeah, French Indian Wars, and France had just got the shit beat out of them, and had said, "Hey, we're done," and they gave up, surrendered, whatever.
It was the taxes that the British imposed on us to pay for our defense from the French that eventually led to our own revolution. Yeah,
Yeah, but they had just gotten the shit beat out of them, and so they were pretty beaten down as a country at that point. And then comes along the very next year, they have Labette, and nobody's going to work, nobody's hitting the fields, so they had to do something. And at this point, the king was willing to throw extensive resources at it, manpower, everything else. The hunts itself for this thing even involved nobles and soldiers, royal huntsmen, civilians. Everybody joined in to get this thing. So the first recorded attack was in the summer of 1764 in Longjean, and that was Jean Boulet, 14-year-old, near the Les Houbards on 30th of June, 1764. These attacks continued in the nearby forest and surroundings, usually targeting lone individuals. The beast often targeted the head and neck region. There was a woman who was decapitated by this thing near the village of Opchy, and it took neighbors a week to find her head.
Where'd they find it? Does it say?
Yeah, they did. I didn't write down where they found it, but it wasn't attached to her body. So no, it was in the same large field that they found it, but I forget how many hundreds of yards away it was. But yeah, this thing literally
didn't eat the head.
No, but also there was an interesting. I mean, there's tons of stories out there that you can read yourself, but there's one about two girls that are working in the field, tending the flock. And one of them, I believe she was like 14. The other was 12. They were sisters. And the 14-year-old was not attacked, but the 12-year-old was. And Labette hit her from behind. And when it did, it said it hit her from behind. The sister saw her head literally pop off her body. And Labette just took off running afterwards, just left the body. And it took a second for the body to actually fall. That's how quick it was. So if you can only imagine, I mean, can you imagine looking there? And
I've seen that
sister?
I've seen that in the movies, and I know that if you were to really do that, that's what happens. It takes a minute.
It takes a second, yeah,
for you to figure it out.
Fall. The body just says, "Hey, I'm standing," boop, yeah. Anyway, so all kinds of rumors about what this thing was and all that, but in the church got involved, of course, because they were involved in everything back then. And the Bishop of Mendez put out what they called a commandment on the 31st of December, 1764. And he described this beast as divine punishment because of the wickedness.
Oh. Somebody always says that tornado is God's punishment for the gays or something. So it's something ridiculous.
Right. So, and he put out a commandment, you must pray for 40 hours over 3 consecutive Sundays. So, I don't know how they added that up or split the time up between the Sundays, but it was 3 consecutive Sundays at 40 hours. And he even cited biblical warnings from Moses, such as, I will arm the teeth of wild beasts against them. And despite all the praying and the divine pleas...
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Yeah. And in spite of all that, the attacks persisted and leading to continued fear, terror. So they were terrified. So in January 12th of 1765, a 14-year-old boy, Portefeuille, and 7 other boys were attacked. and they were playing in a field near some woods, and this beast jumps out of the woods, grabs one of the boys by the face, and pulls him into the woods. Well, Portefeuille, this is my buddy, so I'm going after him to help him.
Apparently, his name was Jacques. Jacques Portefeuille.
Yeah, Jacques Portefeuille.
Jack.
Yeah.
Old Jack.
Anyway, he goes after his buddy, and just inside the tree line, this massive wolf or whatever it was, is standing over this boy and growling and all that, and the boy's just rolled up in the ball screaming, and Portefeuille, just out of anger, picks up a stick and he hits this thing in the head. Well, this emboldened all the other kids that were with him, and they all grabbed up sticks and they chased him off. And so the boy survived, literally tore his cheek off of his face. King Louis XV awarded 300 livres to Jacques Portefeuille. And I tried to do the math on this, but it was very difficult because there's no real way to, since we don't have livres anymore.
Yeah.
But to my best ability, I did this, and it's around $26,000 that he gave to Portefeuille. And
So that was a lot of money back then.
I'm sure that it was, back then. So another 350 livres was to be shared among all his companions who had jumped in to help with this battle against this wolf, because they truly, France needed a hero during that time, and they did not have one. So the king rewarded Portefeuille with an education at the state's expense. He also decreed assistance to solve the problem of La Bête. And like I had mentioned before, the French-Indian Wars had lasted from 1754 to 1763, and it was part of the larger 7 Years' War. I knew I would remember that from somewhere.
7 Years' War.
Yeah, and the war began with France's expansion into the Ohio River Valley, and so that's what caused the problem. Eventually, it was the Treaty of Paris in 1763, which gave Britain all their territory back in North America. But so the king, he was during this time, because this wolf is basically holding the country hostage, is being publicly ridiculed by neighboring countries, the newspapers. Of course, they're not writing in France about how poorly he's handling the situation, but other countries are willing to say something, and they're really giving him a run. So, because the people are refusing to work and the textile mills are shutting down, he's got to do something. So, he employs First Captain Duhamel, a famous French soldier who lived very nearby. He was over the Clermont Prince Dragoons, and he brought 60 foot soldiers and 20 cavalry men.
Where'd he get 60-foot soldiers?
I know, that's how I heard it, and I was like, "What?"
They're
60
really
foot soldiers.
60 foot soldiers. Okay, so they get there and they figured out, okay, we're going to take care of this thing. So what they did, they got some scarecrows. They filled the scarecrows with human remains.
Where'd they get those?
I'm sure they were plentiful. I mean, homeless people dying on the streets, and you're talking war-torn France at this, or not actually torn, but a very depressed country. So just a dead person. I mean, go to the morgue and tell them you need somebody. So they were taking and filling these scarecrows with human remains, and then they would poison it and trying to poison La Bête.
Gets rid of the cannibals, too.
Yeah, right. So
Are they plentiful then?
I don't know.
French cannibals.
Yeah, they're the worst. So also you had soldiers that dressed up as women, and they still do today sometimes, but they just don't talk about it.
Very ahead of their time.
Don't ask, don't tell. And they dressed up as women and would walk through the woods and trying to entice Labette.
Did they think that he was only like he was only attacking the women? Like
Bonjour.
Pretty much he did. He only...
women and children?
Women and children. Very seldom did he ever, or it, she, whatever, attack men. It was because the men are bigger and stronger, can fight back better, and Labette would not attack the men.
Well, according to these incredible drawings from the time,
Oh yeah, it could have attacked.
this
anything.
animal could easily take down this. Apparently, it's a giant weasel or something. Could take down a man.
See, that's what I thought it looked like too.
It looks like a rodent.
It does. Oh, that's terrible. But those drawings are horrible. They
They're
really are.
the
I'm
worst.
going to make sure that I post them up so that y'all can laugh at them too, because they do look bad.
I mean, they look.
And John
like
was
a
not
child.
exaggerating when he said, "Here, look what I drew. Can you stick it on the fridge?"
This one looks like kind of a pig weasel mix with. What the hell?
Well, this thing, they said it was as big as a small calf or a donkey, even. So can you imagine? I mean, which is after we get a little bit further in the story, you'll understand that may not be that far off from what they're saying.
A donkey?
Yeah. Wait, I'll get there. Okay.
A donkey that was killing people?
Just give me a minute. No,
It's the size.
No, it was not a donkey. The size of, he doesn't pay attention sometimes. The size of a donkey.
It's still a wolf. We're still wolfing.
It's still a wolf, we think.
Labette.
I have my own opinion about the
I don't think I'd ever describe a donkey as a beast.
I'm just going to kill it right now. I don't believe it's a hyena. You believe it's a hyena?
You just described it with the stripes. And
I don't think it's a hyena. Not as large as they said it was.
Hyena's pretty damn big.
This is the 1700s. Maybe it's extinct now.
Maybe it was a Eurasian hyena.
Maybe or a striped hyena.
Yeah.
Or a dire wolf.
At that, I wouldn't disagree with.
Or a dog man.
It may have been.
Or loup-garou.
It might have been. Well, but trust me that werewolf came into the conversation many times when these people were describing this thing, So anyway.
Wasn't a French bulldog.
No, it definitely was not a French bulldog. Anyway, Captain Duhamel had, he'd shown up. He tried all these things to entice and bait Labette to come in. So they received news of the beast and rode out towards it. They spotted it and rode within 20 meters of it. So they're right on top of it. Okay. They opened fire. And so I'm assuming this is the 20 cavalrymen he had with him. But at one time, they had up to 1,500 people that were out hunting for this thing at one time in one group, So I don't know how many had joined up with Duhamel. They spotted it. They rode out to it. They opened fire, dropping the beast. It got up, and it ran into the forest. They followed it into the forest. They spotted it again. They opened fire again, dropping it. They went to where the beast was, and there was nothing. So Captain Duhamel is running into all kinds of problems trying to catch this thing and being very unsuccessful. And he wasn't successful during the war either, I might point out.
Yes,
So
his invasion of Hanover did not go well.
no. So Duhamel, his efforts were also hindered by the non-cooperation and incompetence of the villages and villagers that he employed to help him catch this thing. At one point, the village of Les Maljous was supposed to be stopping this thing as it crossed the Tuyere River, and they weren't there. They were afraid and would not come out to stand guard at the bridge. So Labette just ran right across the bridge and nobody stopped it. So he's having all kinds of problems. So the king gets wind of this, and he hires some professional wolf hunters. And it is Jean-Charles de Enneval.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. And his son, Jean-Francois. And they show up, And they believe that this is a Eurasian wolf, which is a subcategory of the gray wolf. And along with these two hunters, they bring 8 bloodhounds that have been trained to hunt wolves. So the king sends his own gun bearer, which I looked that up, and a gun bearer is basically...
Go ahead. It sounds like King's too lazy to carry his own damn gun.
That's exactly what it is. But his gun bearer carries his gun for him until he's ready to fire. Hand me my gun bearer.
Wow, that is the epitome.
The epitome and the height.
Lazy.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, it's what was his name? Antoine. So he sends Francois Antoine. And he's basically the king's bodyguard is what he is. And he sent him there in June of 1765. Now, on August 11th, 1765, Marie Jeanne Vallée, about 20 years old, and several other peasant women were taking a footbridge to cross a small stream when the beast appeared. Marie-Jeanne Vallée reported that the beast walked towards her on its hind legs.
Dogman.
Dogman. Werewolf, dogman, whatever. Marie-Jeanne Vallée alone stepped forward to stab the beast in the chest with a spear, and the beast fell into the water. So, here's the thing. The story is that this thing stood up on back legs and walked towards her. There's several accounts of her talking about it, and she talks about how this thing was looking at her, and she said it was almost laughing or smiling at her as it walks toward her, like a smirk, like, ha ha, I got you, type thing. And she stabs it in the chest, straight on. So, which would have been very difficult to do if the wolf were running at her.
You'd have to catch it on the jump.
You would have to catch it on the jump, which maybe she did, you know. But the story is that it walked on 2 legs towards her, and she stabbed it. It fell into the water and then ran off. They didn't get it then. But anyway, Francois Antoine nicknamed her the Maid of Gevaudan, and there's a statue there.
There's a really crappy picture to painting, drawing.
Oh, of her stabbing the wolf? Yeah, so anyway.
Same artist as the weasel.
Apparently the thing it looks to
it's the same one. Yeah. So on the 20th or 21st of September in 1765, Antoine killed a large gray wolf that they named Le Loup de Chasse. The wolf, check out the dimensions on this thing. The wolf it was in metric and I had to convert it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just letting you know. Was 5 foot 7 inches long from the base of its neck to the base of its tail.
Oh, so not including the head.
Not including the head. It was 5 foot.
Just the body.
Just the body. 5 foot 7 inches long. Okay. So standing up on its back feet, it would look over our heads. At the shoulders, it was 3 feet tall. So.
It's like a big Great Dane.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And weighing 130 pounds.
It's quite thin.
Yeah, it sounds like he wasn't eating enough of these people.
Evidently not. Maybe that's why he was so...
Something that big, you'd think of
maybe he's working on halves with a tapeworm.
Would be 200 plus, you know.
Yeah, because that's large. That's super large.
130 pounds. That's a big, big wolf. So anyway, Francois Antoine went home to Paris with this wolf that he had killed. They had it stuffed. Took it all around Paris. He was hailed as a hero. The king was so pleased with Antoine that he released him from his service and he retired.
It says here, I just want to put this, one of his titles, this Francois Antoine, one of his titles is Officer of the Royal Bedchamber.
I don't know what
the hell is that?
Is that a fluffer?
The Royal Fluffer.
Maybe so.
Back in the days, the
Oh my God.
Maybe the guy who changes out the toilet bowl,
You know, who knows?
pours it into the
Here,
drain
sire,
spout.
let me hold your nads while you powder. You know, I don't know.
that I'll hold your gun for you while you hunt because you're too lazy to hold
Oh
a
my God.
7-pound musket.
Right. So anyway, this was he had killed this wolf in September of 1765, and then late in November of 1765, the attacks started up again, dispelling any belief that they had actually got La Bête. So when Antoine got back to Paris, he received all kind of fame and titles and awards, and over 9,000 livres were granted to Antoine.
That would be a lot. If 300 is like 25 grand.
Right. I didn't do the math to see how much it was, but because I don't know that that's accurate.
That's a lot.
Because like I didn't have $1 to bounce that against.
Well,
to figure out
apparently
how much it was.
these livres, there was 3 different ones around at the same time. And who the hell knows?
Right. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but
It
was a
hadn't
lot.
been used since the French Revolution.
It had to have been a lot of money. So anyway, during the post-Antoine period, November 1765 pretty much passed without any attacks until the end of the month. And then rumors of new attacks even in December, indicating that the beast was still alive. In early 1766, the attacks were still remaining sporadic and being attributed to the beast or wolves was uncertain. They didn't know that it was La Bête, right? And then Monsieur de Montluc, in a letter to the intendant of Auvergne on the 1st of January, 1766. I told you these words, man.
So rough.
They are rough. Expressed a conviction of the beast's reappearance. And he said that that it had changed its tactics. So this gets back to the king. The king basically ignored this because he didn't want anything to do with it anymore. He had his hero. He had Francois Antoine. Here's my hero. He killed the wolf. We got a great big wolf. That's it, right? It reminds me of it all. Oh, I can't say that, can I?
I think now you're allowed to.
Oh, can you? Okay. Well, it reminds me of that thing that you couldn't talk about it and we just ignored facts about it for a long time. So anyway, I'm getting all tinfoil hat. But
aluminium foil.
Right. So King Louis XV was very disinterested in hearing anything about this, and he pretty much stopped acknowledging anything about it. So guess what the newspapers did?
Started writing about it.
No, exactly the opposite. They ceased reporting about the attacks in Gevaudan. They just quit writing about it.
Wow, that stuff
So
still
Home
goes
Dog
on
is
today.
It does, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So, in March of 1766, there was a surge in the attacks. The locals realized that they would not receive assistance from the court, and the particular estates of Gevaudan convened on the 24th of March in 1766 at Marvejols. Etienne Lafont and Marquis de Apture recommended poisoning dogs' corpses to lure the beast. So they would kill these dogs or find dead dogs and poison them and put them out there. The beast, or La Bête, however you want to say it, eventually settled in this one area in the Trois-Monts region, covering Montmouchet, Montgrand, and Montchauvet.
I know what Montgrand means.
That's a big mountain.
Big mountain. That's a big old mountain.
A big mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, a big old mountain. So anyway, they tried the poisoning strategy again, which also, again, proved ineffective. All the little small hunts that they had, they didn't get the beast. Its like I said before, the modus operandi changed, and it was showing less aggression and increased caution. In other words, it was smart and it was learning. And so the attacks full on resumed in early 1767, and they saw a lull right after that in the attacks. But in the spring, and I'm noticing that it's during the winter months, it kind of dies down a little bit. And when spring hits, this thing starts attacking again. And
maybe it hibernates.
I don't know. But it was on 18 June 1767, the beast was reported in the parishes, and it killed Jean Bastide in one of the parishes there. So eventually, we're gonna kill off this thing. So there was a farmer named Jean Chastel, and he had been involved in a previous hunt for this thing, and was hired by Francois Antoine to guide his men, because he was
he can afford it now to pay the locals.
He actually can afford it, but he had hired him to lead his men on this hunt. So Jean Chastel leads them into a bog, and they get their horses stuck.
Of course.
So guess what Antoine does? Imprisons Jean Chastel. He puts him in prison because he got the men stuck in the bog.
Can an officer of the royal bedchamber imprison us?
Evidently, you can throw a man in prison if you get your
horses
hunting
stuck.
party stuck in the bogs. So anyway, Jean Chastel went out on June 18th in 1767 at Montmouchet, and prior to going out, legend has it that he took 2 items of silver from the house, and there's differing stories about what he had. Some say it was silverware, some say it was jewelry, some say it was a cross, some say it was a
Virgin Mary medal.
Something. But he took it to the priest and had him bless these 2 bullets that he had formed from silver. Now, like I say, there's a lot of different stories about what it was that he took to make the silver bullets. But on the 18th of June, he went out and he waited, because he just had a feeling, he's a hunter, that the La Bête would show up at this particular field. So he's waiting in the wood line. Now, can you imagine? Here's this killer wolf that's out here. All you got's a musket and 2 silver bullets, and you're going to wait there. Well, he waited from the 18th. La Bête never showed up. He waited all night long in the wood line with this thing out there. And on the morning of the 19th, June 19th, 1767, La Bête enters the field. And Jean Chastel, with 2 silver bullets blessed before the hunt, fires at La Bête. The first bullet missing. And he has time to fire again, which I kind of call bullshit on.
Because it takes a very skilled person, it's going to take 15 seconds to 20 seconds to reload that thing.
Well, we know that if he's 100 yards away, it takes 6 seconds to travel that. So
plus, these are flintlocks. You got to put that powder back in the pan.
Right.
It's not just putting the wad and the shot and the powder down the barrel.
Yeah.
You got to repowder the pan too. Yeah. I mean, it's not a quick operation.
Maybe he had 2.
Maybe he had 2 rifles. Now,
could have been
good
2
point,
muskets.
Alyssa. Very good.
Yep.
Because I've seen that before. Where
I saw that in The Patriot. Mel Gibson had his kids just reloading and handing him muskets while he was running around.
Out there. Good job. Way to go. So anyway,
reshot.
He shot and he killed La Bête. They were going to take that back to France, but the body was necropsied by Dr. Boulanger at Chateau d'Ebesque. at Marquis de Apcher's residence.
Oh. Yeah, him.
Yeah, that dude. As he's taking it back, he wasn't embalmed appropriately and began to rot and decompose on the way back to France. So they took him and they buried him on the side of the road.
But did they mark it, like say where it was, so that...
And where were they?
They were in the south part of France. So the Marin report was a report.
So they were going to take it back to Paris.
Paris, yeah.
Yeah, what'd I say?
Take it back to France.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that's why I was like, where were they?
I apologize. I mean...
They were already in France, but you meant
Yeah,
Paris.
yeah, I mean
Gotcha.
Paris.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I was like, did I miss that they went somewhere?
No. So this thing, the Marin report, which is a famous report that was written about Labette on June 20th, 1767. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. His last name was Marin. He was the royal notary, and he wrote an autopsy report. The document preserved in the French National Archive now certifies that the creature as an unusually large wolf, distinct from local wolves. Dental formula details upper jaw at 20 teeth, 6 incisors, 2 canines, and 12 molars. The lower jaw had 22 teeth, 6 incisors, 2 canines, and 14 molars. The descriptions of wounds and scars, along with the testimonies from over 300 people who recognize the creature, are included. Now, we all know how this goes. Oh, yeah, I saw it. You know, we don't know as to the legitimacy of all 300 people who recognize Labette, but obviously this thing got around and a lot of people did see it. But
The question is, did the killing stop?
The killing did stop. There's been numerous movies written about this or produced with this. There's
that one with the Kung Fu guys.
Yeah, that's so stupid. Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Oh my God,
yeah.
what a
with the guy from Iron Chef.
Horrible movie. Is it the
Really?
same guy?
It's that guy.
Looks
Yeah.
like him.
He's much younger, but
Oh, well.
Is it really him? Or are you making?
I
that
think
up?
it is.
I don't know, but
Pretty sure that's what's his name.
Robert Louis Stevenson even wrote about it in his Travels with a Donkey. Seriously,
The classic Travels with a Donkey.
Robert Louis Stevenson's Travels with a Donkey. He wrote about Gevaudan, or the Beast of Gevaudan, and the exaggerated claims that went with it. All kinds of movies. There's books. There's even a prawn film.
Oh, nice.
It's in like 1970 something. I forget the name of it, but that's
What is that?
It's
prawn, which you can't say on
adult?
YouTube.
Got you.
adult.
Yeah, if you mix the letters up. Netflix actually plans on producing a feature film.
That is him, by the way. It's Mark Dacascos. That is he.
It is him?
Iron Chef. It is the Iron Chef guy.
Are they going to name it Labette
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to name it.
with the little hat over the E?
I don't know.
I don't even know what that is.
The Cursed in 2022 is a movie featuring the Beast in the 19th century France. The Lore podcast, one of the ones that we really like to listen to. Yeah. They have an episode called Silver Lining, which is explores the history of the Beast. I really like his stuff on Lore. He's really good. So anyway, this thing, nobody really knows what it was or what it was not. I have a hard time believing that it was just a wolf. I think that the most reasonable explanation for me would be that it would be a dire wolf.
Or a lion with chainmail.
No, bullshit. Absolute bullshit. You're going to train a lion to kill these people, blah, blah. That's such a stupid premise for a movie.
I still...
He still votes weasel.
Well, yeah, look at these pictures.
Now,
I'm thinking
in
hyena.
his defense,
His pictures are terrible.
Oh yeah, no, I saw it.
Awful.
They're really long body.
And this tail that looks like a cat. Mm-hmm. Looks nothing like a wolf.
Yeah, it doesn't look like.
What's weird is some of these paintings, pictures, prints, lithographs, whatever they're called, they've got the human anatomy done well.
Dude, I know. I was looking at that. It's like the people are drawn very well, but the wolf thing
an
is
adult talented artist drew the people, and then they brought in their 5-year-old to draw the animal part.
Come here, Junior. I want you to draw Daddy a wolf right
Draw
here.
the least scary looking thing you can draw.
It always has its tongue hanging out. What's up with that? Have you noticed? It always has this big, long tongue.
Yeah, it's weird.
Maybe that's just their way of...
I don't know. Like the drawing of Jacques Portefeuille and his companions fighting off the beast.
Mm-hmm.
The humans are drawn really well. Like Dutch masters, Renaissance masters well. And then the animal in the middle just looks like they're all stabbing a statue of a drawing of a wolf that a 3-year-old.
They're bad. It's really bad.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at them now.
Some of them are comical.
I like the one where he's chewing her face off.
So there are other theories about
like
what it might be.
A hairy donkey.
And some of those alternative theories are that it's a lion, it's a striped hyena, a feral dog, or a wolf dog.
I think it'd be fair to say that maybe there was something then that doesn't exist now.
Here's what I think.
Hence the dire wolf. I mean, okay. I know that he doesn't exist.
So when you look at the mountains, the place that they lived, there's tons and tons and tons of caves there. And it's a wilderness. It really is. And so if you think, could it possibly have been a relic population of dire wolves, and they figured out that humans were easy prey, and maybe it was the last.
You never know.
I could come sooner believing that than I'm going to believe that it's a hyena. I
don't know. If you look at a picture of a striped hyena, and then you just read the description, don't look at the pictures, the contemporary drawings, but just read the description. You're like, And a striped hyena is a scary looking. It's a freaky, mutant looking, terrifying looking animal.
Some have even suggested that it's a.
And they killed Mufasa.
That's not real. Sorry, John. Some suggested it was the Canis lupus italicus, or the Italian
Metallicus.
wolf.
Oh,
this one says.
Italicus.
So I just decided to look at the pictures, and then they got a stuffed one in what they think it might look like in a museum. Mm-hmm. So I was reading what he was talking about. And someone said, it says, it has even been suggested that it was not a real animal. Do you have that in your?
Mm-mm.
But a sex-crazed serial killer who dressed in a fur costume pretending to be a wolf. In the same vein, it was perhaps a werewolf with a penchant for hunting women and young girls.
Well, that sounds like, what's his name that was executed for being a werewolf back in...
Which one?
The French one.
Yeah.
Not the German one.
I don't remember his name.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I can see the lithographs.
According to this
could have been a
article,
skinwalker.
It says, furthermore, at this time, it was accepted practice to draw animals in a very stylized fashion rather than in the more accurate zoological one.
Really? Wow. So maybe that's...
Because of this, therefore, the head and limbs are often out of proportion, and the body is frequently too large for a small head and legs. In many pictures, the artist sought to portray an unknown animal by reaching into his knowledge of heraldry.
That's
I
why
read it wrong.
They do look like what you would see on a family shield, on a heraldry. If you think about the look at those, they do look that way.
Like the Celtic knotwork with the weird looking dogs and wolves that they have on there.
Or just look at the 3 lions on the crest of England. Where they're very stylized and they're sideways. And if you look at these, they're all drawn that way.
Mm-hmm. I wish somebody had drawn it accurately. Is what I wish. There are so many stories about this where people. There's this one guy this thing came into town, and in the fountain in the middle of this little village, I guess, it was drinking from the fountain, and the guy is there, and I want to say it was early morning or something like that, and nobody's really in town yet, and he sees this thing from out of his window, and he's up like on the second floor, and he's looking down at it, and he is amazed at the size of this thing. And so he ends up shooting it from his window. This is the story he tells now. He may have been just trying to get free pints or
some
Hennessy or something. I don't know.
Livrays.
He might have been trying to get some livrays for his story at the bar. I don't know. But he shot it, knocked it down, and it got back up. And it said it let out this roar and then took off.
You know what really would have been convenient if they would have marked the place on the side of the road where they buried it, like maybe built a statue there to it so that we could dig it up, extract DNA from the bones, and see exactly what it was.
Well, I mean, the king's own notary did the autopsy, so we know that they killed it eventually, or ate large wolf.
What I love is that they went through all of this to kill this thing. Mm-hmm. And then it starts to rot, so it's buried on the side of the road.
I know, and don't mark where they put it so that when technology comes along later, that would allow us to see exactly what it was.
Or even, dig it up and find the bones.
Okay, but let's think about this.
But these people were primitives.
This is a common farmer.
I get it.
Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I do, but
he lives out in the boondocks. It wasn't like he was thinking of posterity and going, oh, I should probably freeze this. So.
No, I know.
They were all primitives anyway. I mean, 40 days of prayers and thinking that it's the punishment for sin.
I guess he was such a terror for a couple of years, and this whole kill the beast. All I can think about is like Beauty and the Beast with all the people and their pitchforks and their like.
Wait, Ron Perlman version or
Disney?
Disney, okay.
But no, I mean,
Ron Perlman was better.
That's just what I think of, and so I guess
it didn't require makeup.
Not much.
When you think about it, like what they went through, it's like, and I love that they apparently try to still embalm things. Then,
well, I mean,
animals.
So we think about it we're all modern and everything, and we're so smart and everything like that. But if you can imagine what it must have been like for them, So
the main thing is just kill it.
Because we could have dropped it from 800 yards away with a 300 Win Mag, and that'd have been it.
Yeah.
And the story.
Right,
and then they could pull DNA, find out exactly what it is.
Exactly. But
be in the Smithsonian.
But imagine if it was in like our time now, and you walk out to go get your mail, and this thing runs around the corner, and you're dead just like that. And, your kid is playing out in the yard, and they're gone. And the only thing you see is a blood trail left, and it's just bam, bam, bam. It was all over the place. And you're talking 200 recorded, documented attacks. And this was from 1987, I think, when they tabulated all this. So 211 attacks over a 3-year period. That's quite a lot.
Yeah,
it's not insubstantial.
They had a similar thing. It was going on in Egypt, I want to say, in some rural villages. Mm-hmm. And they did finally catch it. It was a hyena, but they said it was, the beast. Mm-hmm. It was a hyena.
I love how when I was just looking for the picture, and there's like, well, it's a question if it's a rabid wolf. Well, I don't think a rabid wolf can live for 3 years. No. Rabies is about to take you out. It doesn't take very long.
No, it wasn't a rabid wolf.
That wolf's got about a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, at most. But what I do think is interesting, too, is why? I realize they killed him, but it's like, was this a young wolf at first?
Apparently, wolves killing people in Europe back then was...
It's pretty common, actually.
Common. Yeah. We don't think about it now in modern times because it's pretty rare for a wolf attack.
Well, also, but is that because, is that anywhere or here? Because, they're protected here for the most part. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty rare for them to attack humans in the modern age. I haven't heard of it. In Alaska, maybe somewhere, but.
However, if you go back to Russia during some of the big blizzards they had there, I mean, there's some horrifying stories to where where wolves have, during snowstorms and these drifts come up all the way to the top of to the roof line, and these things literally would run up the snow, dig through the thatch in the top of the roof, and drop down into the house, whole packs.
That makes sense though, because they need food. But this one's waiting until the thaw and coming out and killing them in the spring.
Yeah. And there's herds, there's sheep and cows,
all
and
the things,
pigs,
dogs,
and deer.
But
the dogs they were killing to attract it, like eat the dogs. Maybe just like
didn't do that though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm thinking it liked human.
That's what obviously. Yes, it liked human.
It liked the long pig.
It did. And just think about this.
Like
this
maybe
thing did not kill just to eat. This thing killed out of pure sport.
You know what it reminds me of is the Lions of Sabo.
Yes. Like
Ghost in the Darkness.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite films. One of the best movies ever made is Ghost in the Darkness. It was
pretty good.
Although the lions used in it have manes, and the actual lions of Sabo, which you can see in the Smithsonian,
were female.
Nope, they're male. They're maneless males.
Really? Wow.
Y'all make me feel like an uncultured swine sometimes. These lions, when y'all talk about things, I'm like, I should know these things.
You are not swine.
These lions were
not multiple, just one
in Africa, and they were building a railway, and they had a bunch of Indian workers, and
they were terrified because they
killed a lot.
I know.
They were man eaters, and that's what they wanted, and they would they killed hundreds of workers and dragged them off and ate them.
Where?
Weren't they building a railroad?
They're building a railroad bridge, yeah.
Sorry?
No, sir.
At Sabo, and I'm not sure what there it is now. I think Kenya, but...
Oh, so Africa.
Africa, yeah. And you have to see it's a fantastic film with...
Really good movie.
With Val Kilmer and the guy that's married to Catherine Zeta-Jones, Michael Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
His character is actually fictional. However, Val Kilmer's character is real.
Okay.
And the story's real, and you can see these lines. They're stuffed in the Smithsonian.
Okay. That's like I was saying, if we could have had Lovett stuffed.
Yeah, so this was like in the 1890s, I believe, when this was happening. Yeah.
But these people were scared to death. They really did not have the modern weapons that we have now. The ability to track, the night vision, the
muskets, terrible.
The FLIRs.
This is why you have you line everybody up and you fire all at once when you're 50 yards away, because that's the only way you're going to hit anything.
Well, that's the thing. They hit this thing, and it would get up and run off. And it was, so you can imagine that these people, they were calling it werewolf, I mean, that term came up a lot, during that time when this was happening.
So what do you think it was?
I don't know.
I don't know much. I've heard and read a little bit about the dire wolf, but I don't know much about it. But I would like to say that maybe it was something like that.
I think it could have been that.
Were they known to attack humans?
There wouldn't have been much history from back then.
No, people, what?
Dire wolf.
Yeah, everything was attacking humans.
Yeah, we were low man on the totem pole.
Yeah, we were till we started figuring up some things out. We were
Fire!
I mean, was not uncommon for
kill the beast.
I'm sure that more than one human made up a dire wolf meal.
Yeah, many humans were. Yeah, it's Kenya, Sabo, Kenya in 1898.
Well, you know how big a wolf is, right?
The big wolf.
Yeah, you know how big wolves are.
Yeah.
Right. So the paws, I'm going to show this camera. The paws on a wolf, you're talking 5 inches across. That's huge, That's like that. So a dire wolf was probably at least 1.5 times the size of a regular wolf or a big wolf. So
this was like the Paleolithic area, Pleistocene. Sorry.
Yeah, one of those.
I do have to make a correction though. the Sabo lions are not at the Smithsonian. They're at the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago, Illinois.
You need to get your shit straight.
Yeah. So those are maneless male lions.
Wow.
And they're responsible for
Many human deaths also.
they got a taste for human flesh
Mm-hmm.
and started just taking an Indian or African worker every night.
Yeah, it was crazy. But no, anyway.
So you think
I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just a great big wolf that got a taste for human flesh. John, what do you think it was? Truly. Because it was something. We know that it was something. I mean, they didn't make all this up, so.
It to be some kind of big wolf, I guess.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Striped hyena.
Yeah, it's no strange.
Just seeing a striped hyena, that's the
But
most
five,
terrifying
five,
thing.
7 in length with 3 feet, standing 3 feet tall, like.
Oh, that's like tiger.
That's
That's
not
bigger
the
than
big one. That's the one that Francois Antoine got prior to Lebet being got.
I mean,
Wow,
wolves
love that.
Wolves
So-
aren't that big.
Wow. Huh?
Wolves are not that big. Not
No,
that big.
not
That's
that big.
tiger size.
5'7"?
Length.
A tiger, head to tail, over 8 feet
Oh, yeah, I know.
easily.
A wolf, though.
But a wolf,
Average.
average gray wolf's not that big.
So, 'cause they're only like $1.20 or something like
It's
that.
a big ass dog.
That's for the Arctic wolves. We're talking Arctic wolf. That's a big wolf. But
Canis lupus.
wolf, I don't think it's a hyena. I really don't. And
I don't know. That would have been so easily solved if they just, hey, let's go ahead and take this rotting corpse somewhere so that it's buried. At least that there's a marker so we can dig it up later.
but how would they have had the foresight to know to?
They didn't know. You didn't know DNA was going to come along
Yeah,
in
who
300
knew that?
years.
Hell, people in the 70s didn't know DNA was going to come along until they got popped for
Honestly-
some crime they did.
Honestly,
you know?
Or they didn't do.
so
Right.
Usually.
so that was a small one. So really, what they could have killed before was a gray wolf, because that adult wolves measure 41 to 63 inches in length. So that's 5'3" at the max, and 31 to 31 inches at shoulder height,
So,
which is 36 would be 3 feet.
right. So it could have been
So it makes sense that the first one they killed, the Antoine's,
Francois Antoine, La Bête des Chats or whatever it was.
yeah,
Something like
that
that.
maybe
I
that
still don't
was.
see a wolf being able to pop somebody's head off. I mean,
Oh, a wolf.
but that's bite strength. Like, that's not.
Think about this.
How fast he was running.
They have very
An
powerful
Arctic
bite
wolf-
strength.
An Arctic wolf can bite through a moose femur in 3 bites.
But
3 bites. Chomp, chomp, chomp. And you've bitten through that moose femur.
okay.
So, I mean, you're talking about the strongest bite basically in the world other than a
Great
maybe
white
an
shark.
alligator and a great white shark. I mean,
Sorry, I was trying to see how fast they go.
35 miles an hour.
I meant the wolf
That's like
does.
a cheetah. That's as fast as a cheetah.
No, cheetah's 60.
What?
Yes.
Cheetah's 60.
Miles, not
Yes.
kilometers.
Miles
Miles.
an
60
hour.
miles an hour.
It's the fastest
top
animal
speed.
on Earth.
Wow.
Fastest land animal on
Hello.
Earth. A wolf is 30 to 35 miles an hour.
31 to
that's-
37. Yeah.
So,
Running.
yeah.
Running.
Thank you. Thank you, Forrest.
Cheetah speed 50 to
So what do
80
you
miles.
think it is? You're the most logical one of the
Cheetah
bunch.
speed 50 to 80 miles an hour.
80.
Oh, they've clocked him at 80
They've clocked
now?
him at 80 now.
How
Jesus.
fast is a gazelle?
Not fast
Not that
enough.
fast.
Wow.
Not that fast.
Well, I heard
And
something.
they still get away.
I heard something today that was it said
60.
60. So the gazelle gets up every morning and starts running because he knows he's going to get eaten by that cheetah if he doesn't run. The cheetah gets up every morning and starts running because he knows he doesn't catch that gazelle, he's going to starve to death.
Right.
So the moral is that just every day get up and start running.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That was Eric Prince, founder of Blackwater
I
Private
heard-
Military Corporation. said
heard
that I
this
heard
story
that
one time.
today.
Where this wolf was trying to chase down a little rabbit. And he was chasing after the rabbit, and the rabbit got away. And so this wise old owl was up in the tree, and he hollers down at the wolf. He says, "Hey," he said, "that rabbit can't run as fast as you can." He goes, "Oh, no. No," he said, "I can run faster than that rabbit." He said, "Well, how come the rabbit outran you then?" He said, "Well, you see, I was running for my supper." He said, "That rabbit was running for his life." So what do you think it is, babe? You're the most logical one of the bunch.
Well, obviously I can't stick with my prehistoric direwolf, so
You can't?
no, that doesn't seem like.
I mean,
it.
you never know. Maybe they found a
They
coelacanth they thought had been extinct
Yeah.
since
Or like
the,
we said, like
the
the-
Cretaceous.
Stuff that they think
What
is
did y'all
extinct all
call
the
it? A grouping of direwolves, but y'all called it something.
A pack?
time. A pack?
No.
Oh, a relic population.
A relic population.
That
Maybe.
sounds like fun.
Yeah, it could
Not not for those folks. But,
No,
and
no.
apparently there was only one that liked the taste of humans. So
Yeah. Anyway, it was a bad time for them.
it's a large something, furry something or other eating folks. I know that much.
So what'd you think about your drink?
Well, it's almost gone. So
Alyssa loves her wee beastie.
I love scotch.
John, what'd you have again, Fortaleza?
No, El Tesoro.
El Tesoro Reposado, and then I had a little bit of that
Eagle Rare.
after I rinsed my glass out with some water and had a little
Eagle Rare is
It
my
is good.
favorite.
I've decided I'll take scotch over bourbon.
All right, y'all
Whiskey.
check us out on YouTube if you're listening on a podcast. Even if you just get on there and push that subscribe button, and because we're working our way up, we are like 164 subscribers now. By my calculations, by the end of the year, if we keep the pace that we're doing now with adding subscribers and getting time watched on our videos and all that, if we keep that up, by the end of this year, we will be halfway to being monetized.
Let's make that happen by
If we
the
could do
end
it
of
even
this year.
sooner, that'd be really
All you got to
cool.
do is just hit subscribe.
I know, man. Hit subscribe and watch a video. Heck yeah. All right. Y'all have a good night.
Nighty night.
Nighty night.